Welcome to Assistant on Air, where we have conversations with people that built for Google Assistant. I'm Jessica Denny-Early-Cha, and I'll be your host today. I'm a developer advocate for Actions on Google, which means I build actions and I create content for developers. Today, we'll be chatting with Brad Abrams. Welcome, Brad.
Hey, Jessica. It's good to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Brad, what do you do?
So I am a product manager on the Google Assistant team, and I run a big part of the developer platform for the Assistant we call Actions on Google.
Oh, that's awesome. So what does that mean that you run this?
Yes, well...
That you're a product manager on this.
So I'm the product manager. Yeah,
I'm the product... the whole shebang.
Yeah, exactly. A few engineers watching this are going to have questions for me. I'm the product manager for parts of it. And really what I do as a product manager is try to figure out what developers want to do on the platform. Like, how can they take advantage of the Assistant? How can we make it easier for them? And how we can bring in end user requirements, like what users want out of the Assistant, and match that with what developers want. So it's kind of a giant jigsaw puzzle. Awesome. But I work very closely with the engineering team, and it's fun to kind of work together and build brand new products, especially in this space. Oh my gosh, yes. Like so many other spaces are mature for developers, and we kind of know what works and what doesn't work. And in this space, the Assistant is brand new. It's the wild, wild west. Developers are figuring it out. We're figuring it out. And so it's kind of fun to do, fun space to be in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, speaking about like the fun stuff, at I.O. we announced a couple of really cool things.
Yes.
And so I'd love to talk to you about content, about app actions, and about experiences.
All right.
So let's start off with content.
Content is great. So I've been on this team for almost 3 years now. And what I've learned is that it's hard to build conversational experiences.
It is hard.
I mean, it's a new domain. It's hard for Google to build them, and it's even hard for third parties to build them. And so what we've seen is many of these actions actually just reflect some underlying content that the developer has. And so we thought, why don't we just let developers give us that content in a way that's native for them to give us the content, and then we'll do the heavy lifting of building kind of rich, immersive conversations out of them. And that way, users can have great user experiences, and they can work super well conversationally, and developers can focus on kind of what their unique value is, which is in that content.
Okay, so like what type of examples? So if I have content, like how can I either format it so then it's digestible by Google, and what type of materials would be
so
good?
the ones that we announced at I.O. here was FAQs and how-tos. So for example, with how-tos, if you have a website, maybe how to change a flat tire, you can actually mark up that website with schema.org markup, which has been around for 10 plus years.
Yeah, industry standard.
Industry standard. A lot of web developers are already familiar with it. And literally, it's just tagging the HTML elements with the schema.org. And then Google will index that data and build a conversation action for you that helps users navigate your website in a way that's more voice forward, more assistive in nature. So on the phone or on a smart display, for example, a end user can go through there with just show me the next step, move to step 2, skip this step.
Oh my gosh.
And that's just a much better way for users to go through your content in this assistive experience.
Yeah, so it sounds like they just have to worry about marking up their content, and Google will handle all of the natural language processing, all that hard part.
That's right. And you know, YouTube also has a ton of how-to videos.
I'm on there learning things all the time.
Yes, I wouldn't be able to get anything done in my house if it weren't for YouTube. And so we've also made it possible for YouTube creators to create these how-to experiences that work really well on the phone and on the smart display with that content that they have. Okay. So in this case, they just... you go to the Actions console and then upload a spreadsheet, actually.
Oh,
that you just give the URL to the video that you own, and then the minute markers for each step of the conversation.
Oh, okay.
Each step of the how-to. And then we can build out the experience from there that's, moves the video to the right place and whatnot.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a really smooth experience, so I encourage people to try that.
Oh, that's really cool. That's fantastic. So in that same kind of vein, for Android developers, people who have their own Android apps, we have app actions now. So
right.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about app actions because On the phone, we want the assistant to be the best way to get things done on the phone. And we were talking about mature ecosystems. Android has a quite mature ecosystem. Everybody out there already has an Android app. And so we want to help users make better use of the Android apps they already have installed. So right now, to launch an Android app, you have to go to the launcher, scroll, find it, tap on, navigate into the app to get something done. What we want to do is shortcut that, make it much easier for users. You could just say, hey Google, send $50 to Jessica. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
That'd be great. Let's do that now.
Everybody should do that.
Not only does that just sound faster, I could definitely imagine people who are not as familiar with apps. That being an easier learning curve of like, this is how you just do something with your voice.
It's much more natural.
Yeah.
Like when I tell people how to do things, you say, well, first you open the app and then you go here and you have to know the way the app thinks about it rather than the way humans might talk, right? And so just like with content, we've moved the burden for dialogue understanding to Google. So we actually have a team of hundreds of linguists.
Oh, that's awesome.
That are coming up with all the different ways users might say something like send money to Jessica. Like, I can't come up with them, like hundreds of different ways and hundreds of different languages, right? We have people figuring that out. And so once we do, we load that into a concept we call a built-in intent.
Okay.
And so we have built-in intent for sending money, for ordering food, for tracking a workout. We launched 4 or 5 here at I/O. We're going to launch hundreds of them as we get our linguists going on this. And then as a developer, you just subscribe to those intents or implement those intents.
So for an Android developer, what are they doing?
Yes.
Like how much work are we looking at for them?
So we think this is about a day's worth of work. So we think this is something every Android developer should do. So what you do is you open up Android Studio and you add a actions XML file. It's a file right next to the Android manifest, similar to the Android manifest. And in there, it's essentially a mapping file. You take the set of the built-in intent that we mentioned. So for example, the send money built-in intent. And you map that to whatever intent that is in your app. That means it goes to this intent, whatever page of your app makes sense. And then you write a little bit of Java code to handle the arguments that we'll pass you. Like we'll pass you the amount and the person's name. And so the app developer parses those and then pre-populates the UI and sets it up.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see, just be able to talk to my phone to open things up, get things done a lot faster.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a lot faster for users to get things done. Yeah.
Very cool. So the last thing, which I'm really excited about because it's all about kind of the experience and more the conversation side.
That's right.
So I'd love to talk to you about Canvas.
Yes. So
that amazing experience.
I love Canvas. So, for people that are building conversational actions today, they've mainly been voice focused and not had any UI. And that works well for Google Home device. But on the phone, or on a smart display, it's not great. And so in the past, we've had a handful of cards you could use. So 3 or 4 different cards, which is good. But we wanted to offer a much more immersive experience. Specifically, we've been looking at games. Like most new platforms, games are a big use case for us. And for people that are building games for the smart display, we wanted to give them a lot more flexibility. And so we thought, what's a great UI technology that works on every device and scales beautifully? And we thought, the web is pretty good at that.
It is really good.
It's kind of, that's kind of been figured out, right? So we thought, let's just let developers use the knowledge they already have. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but they get to execute that on the client, right? So on the smart display device. And then you attach a conversational action to that so that at any stage in the conversation, I can click a button on the screen or I can just say that and the UI moves forward or the game moves forward.
That sounds awesome.
So we think this is going to unlock really a whole new set of use cases and really rich immersive experiences for that smart display.
Something that you just reminded me of, I think of children playing games.
Yes.
So many times when they're playing games, they're yelling at the game.
Right.
Because that's the most natural way that we do things.
And now the game can understand them.
I know, that
right?
sounds so great.
It's good. It's good.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what developers come up with.
I know,
with Canvas.
right? Oh my gosh, that's exciting. So it sounds like there's also just a different way of thinking of how to build.
Yeah, so it's a state-based model. So developers actually think about what are the different parts of this conversation? What's the flow of this conversation going to be? You know, users will first ask this, and then they'll move to this, and then to this. And then as a developer, you can actually model those as states in your application and the transitions between them. And then Google actually helps with the human language understanding part of this and how they move between those states.
That sounds great, because I know from a developer point of view, just the state experience makes a lot more sense to me versus, not that developer isn't great, I love that tool. It makes a little more sense from my point of view, which is great.
Yeah. So we're super early with this. We're just in an early preview of it, but we're hoping developers pick it up, give us feedback, tell us what works and doesn't work so that we'll be ready when we launch it for developers.
Yes, this sounds really exciting. Speaking of feedback, how can developers give you feedback on any of these and all the things?
Well, my team and a lot of DevRel hangs out on Reddit on our Google Assistant developer channel on Reddit. So that's a great place to post. Love to hear your stories about what's working and not working. And then also I'm on Twitter. So I'm Brad A. At Twitter, so please tweet at me. Let me know what's working and not working there. Awesome. I'd love to hear your stories, so please feel free to do that.
Thank you so much for coming, and also just to offer all of that, because not everybody understands necessarily the importance of getting that feedback and making our products better. So thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you. I enjoyed being here.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome. So thank you so much. And if you liked today's show, please like this video. If you have any comments or suggestions on what you want to learn in the future videos, please comment below. And feel free to follow us on Twitter, Actions on Google, and we use the hashtag AOGDevs, and that's where we post our updates and new episodes. I've been Jessica. Chat with you next time.